Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Romero, I know you've read the Cleary-Gottlieb report. Is that correct?
Yes, Senator.
I watched a lot of powerful people in this town try to cover it up. They said, oh, it's bad, but don't worry. The FDIC chairman will fix it. This was the same FDIC chairman who had been at the agency since God was a corporal and under whom all this stuff happened. And fortunately, that point of view didn't prevail. Here's the way I read the report. 97 people at that agency reported 145 separate incidents of sexual assaults. 91 others reported 141 separate incidents of gender or sexuality-based discrimination. 187 people reported 320 separate incidents of verbal abuse.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to America First, the channel where we cut through the nonsense and put the power back in the hands of we the people. If you love this country, if you believe in accountability, and if you're tired of the out-of-control bureaucrats who are destroying our way of life, make sure you hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Together, we're taking a stand for truth, for freedom, and for America. Today, we have yet another example of government overreach, wasted money, and sheer incompetence. Senator John Kennedy, and let me just say, God bless this man for always cutting through the BS, confronted an SEC commissioner about this ridiculous climate risk disclosure rule. And folks, what we heard in this exchange is absolutely infuriating, and I'm here to break it all down for you.
Over 500 people, about 10% of the people at the agency, came forward about discrimination, harassment, mistreatment they faced at the FDIC. Now, I listened to you say all the right words, and you talked about accountability, and you talked about refurbishing the tarnished reputation of the agency, and you talked about listening, and I appreciate all that. But the phrase that got my attention was, send a clear message that this won't be tolerated. If you want to do that, what you need to do before you do your listening tours or all that other stuff, you need to investigate every one of these allegations, every single one, and find out if they're true. And if they are true, then somebody ought to be, the person who's responsible should be fired, should be sued, and or should be prosecuted. And then you'll have a cleaner agency. Now, I don't have any questions. You're either going to do it or you're not. But I think a lot of the members of the committee agree with me. We're going to be watching. Every time the FDIC comes before the banking committee, as long as I'm on it, I'm going to ask you about progress with specificity. Ms. Crenshaw, this climate risk disclosure rule that you're so proud of, how much is that going to cost the companies that you regulate?
Senator, on a per issuer basis over 10 years, I think the economic analysis was roughly $250,000 to $750,000 on a per issuer basis over 10 years.
What's the total cost, please?
I don't know the total cost.
You have no idea?
Well, it's going to depend very much on the individual issuer.
So you impose this rule on every single entity that you regulate and you don't know the total cost?
Well, Senator, it depends on the individual issuer. We put in place...
You don't know the total cost?
It's going to depend on the individual issuer.
You don't know, do you?
Because it's going to depend. I don't think there's necessarily...
It's going to be billions of dollars, isn't it?
I don't believe on a per issuer basis that it's going to be.
I didn't say per issue. I mean the total cost.
Senator,
It's going to be billions of dollars, isn't it?
I don't know, Senator.
Yeah, it is, and you know it is. How much, after asking all of these businesses to spend billions of dollars, how much is that going to lower world temperatures?
I don't know. It's not designed to lower temperatures, Senator. It's designed to give investors information so that they can assess
Why don't
risk.
you just send them an email?
Well, I think there's a lot of securities laws that would prohibit us just sending an
Let me
email.
be sure I understand. You voted to spend, look, we all want clean air and bright water. You voted to spend, to require the people regulated and the entities regulated by the FDIC billions and billions of dollars, even though you can't say really how much it's going to cost. You're just going to make them do it. And you can't tell me today how much it's going to lower world temperatures?
Again, that's not what the rule's designed for, Senator.
Well, what's it designed for?
It's designed
To harass people?
to give investors information to
Virtue
assess risk,
signaling?
to appropriately allocate their capital as they see fit.
I mean, this is insanity. You have a personal supply chain. Suppose we passed a law that said periodically you've got to report personally the carbon emissions of the people who make all the clothes you buy. You buy clothes, don't you?
I do, Senator.
And the car you drive, and the house you live in, and the food you eat. How much do you think that would cost?
We carved out all of the smaller entities, EGCs, SRCs, from the final rule to ensure
If you
that.
think everybody ought to report, why don't you make this rule applicable to everybody at the SEC personally and see how they like it?
Again, we carved out the smallest. We took into account the comment file, and we tried
Tell me
to
again how
appropriately
much this
balance
is
it.
going to lower world temperatures. I don't know if I remember asking.
I think you know the answer to that, Senator Kennedy. Thank you.
Zero.
Your time has expired. Senator Cortez Masto's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Crenshaw, unfortunately, you weren't able to answer.
Can you believe this? Senator Kennedy asked the SEC commissioner a simple question. How much is this going to cost American businesses? And the commissioner, who's supposed to have the answers, couldn't even give a clear number. All they could do was give some vague range of $250,000 to $750,000 per issuer over 10 years. Folks, that's a massive financial burden. And when Kennedy tried to push for the total cost across the entire economy, the commissioner had no idea. None. Let me tell you, this is government at its worst. They're out here writing rules forcing businesses, the backbone of America, to spend billions of dollars, and they don't even know how much it's going to cost. How out of touch do you have to be to impose regulations like this and not even bother to figure out the financial impact? This is exactly why the American people are fed up with bureaucrats and elites in Washington who think they know better than us. And then the kicker. Kennedy asks the obvious question, how much is this going to lower global temperatures? And the commissioner straight up admits, it won't. That's right, folks. They're forcing businesses to spend billions of dollars on this climate disclosure nonsense, and it won't do a single thing to actually help the climate. Not 1 degree. Not one fraction of a degree. Nothing. Let me ask you this, America. If this rule doesn't lower temperatures, if it doesn't stop climate change, then what's the point? I'll tell you what it is. It's virtue signaling. It's government bureaucrats trying to look like they're doing something about climate change while making it harder for businesses to operate. This isn't about saving the planet. It's about control. It's about harassing American businesses, punishing success, and pushing a radical agenda. Senator Kennedy absolutely nailed it here. Imagine if we were all forced to report the carbon emissions of the clothes we wear, the food we eat, the cars we drive. That's how insane this is. The government is piling on more and more regulations, making it more expensive to live, to work, to do business. And for what? To make the bureaucrats feel good about themselves? It's outrageous. And don't buy into this nonsense about carving out smaller entities to reduce the impact. That's a distraction. Even if some smaller businesses are exempt, the big ones still have to comply. And guess what? Those costs get passed down to you, the consumer. Higher prices at the pump, at the grocery store, on everything. This is a tax on the American people, plain and simple. And here's the thing that really gets me. These bureaucrats make these rules, but they don't have to live by them. Kennedy brought up a great point. Why not make the SEC staff personally report their own carbon emissions? Let's see how they like it. But no, they'll never do that. They'll impose the rules on us, on businesses, on workers, but they'll never hold themselves accountable. That's the hypocrisy of the elites. Folks, this is why elections matter. This is why we need leaders like Senator Kennedy, who won't back down, who will ask the tough questions, and who will fight for the American people. This is why we need to stand up against these unelected bureaucrats who are destroying our economy in the name of their radical agenda. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about climate change, it's about freedom. It's about whether we want to live in a country where businesses can thrive or a country where government controls every aspect of our lives. All right, patriots, that's it for today. Remember, if we don't stand up, if we don't speak out, the bureaucrats win. And we're not going to let that happen. If you agree with Senator Kennedy, if you believe in holding these elites accountable, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with your friends and family. Let's get the word out and wake people up. Together, we can take back America. Thank you for watching America First. Stay strong, stay free, and God bless the United States of America.